Hey, Sam. Aren't you not supposed to tap the glass?
No, it's the opposite. You're supposed to tap on the glass to keep their heart rates up. In this predator-free environment, their heart rates get dangerously slow.
Huh.
Plus, they love it. I mean, look at him jump.
Psychonauts 2. Okay, first of all, this is not scripted. This is we're just jamming here, so bear with me. I got a chance to play this. I was invited by Microsoft for a hands-on demo that went for about 5 hours. Got to do that from the comfort of my own home. Thank you very much, technology. Love that. Yeah, played through it, a few different sections of the game, including from the very start. So getting a sense of how it all begins. I will say that this video does contain some minor spoilers. I don't spoil any sort of, story arc endings or anything like that, but I do talk about some of the story setups. Some people won't want to hear that. They'll think it's a spoiler. I would recommend not watching any videos on Psychonauts if that's the case, because I think everyone is going to talk about some of the locations that you'll visit and some of the things you'll be doing. Like I said, I'm not spoiling any endings here. I'm just spoiling some of the beginnings for the different points in the game. If you're okay with that, let's progress. I will admit that I have not played the first Psychonauts. And I know that's bad, I know that's shameful, but it's just a game I skip for whatever reason. I am a fan of the Double Fine / LucasArts / Tim Schafer brand of comedy though. Certainly grew up on Monkey Island. Full Throttle, one of my favorite games of all time in fact. And I also played through Broken Age. So I like this. I like what Tim Schafer and his team do. I'm down for it. And I was excited to sort of like plug the Psychonauts gap when I got this invite. You may ask, do I need to have played through the first Psychonauts to play through this one? No, but it would certainly help. I did find myself a little displaced at the front, a little disoriented as there were a lot of returning characters and terminologies and stuff like that, and it really it starts fast. Having said that though, when I found my feet, it was fine. So I get the sense that it's helpful to have played the first, but not required. That's my vibe. And also, it's coming to Game Pass, and I think it's a really great fit for that. As Tim Schafer himself said to me when we were in a group Q&A, I'll talk about that at the back of this video. Yeah, long story short, this is the kind of game that just really works on Game Pass, because it's not the kind of game many people would buy, but it's the kind of game that a lot of people would take a chance on, and when they do, they'll be like, hey, this is great, I'm really glad I did this. And I think that's one of the benefits of a platform like Game Pass. It lets you sort of check out stuff that you wouldn't otherwise check out. Anyway, let's do some gameplay and then talk about what I thought. P.S. I liked it. So, what is Psychonauts? Okay, you know how Persona is about journeying into people's hearts and the deepest, darkest reaches of their psyche to unpack all of their weird trauma and their evil and all that sort of shit, okay? Psychonauts is the same thing, but it's a lot more overt in its use of the metaphor. It's a lot more literal. So you are literally going into people's brains, at least in a psychic sort of sense, and you're cruising their synapses, and you're connecting their thoughts with this hookshot ability. And the enemies that you fight are called things like doubt and regret and whatever else. So it really takes the idea that you are inside someone's brain, or at least their kind of like mental psyche, and you are fighting their demons, trying to help them get through things, or right or wrong. So for example, one of the early missions of the game is at a casino, and the reason that we're there is because I, the main character, his name's Raz, actually triggered a gambling addiction in someone. I went into her head and I connected the idea of money and risk. And as a result, she's like, hey, I know how I'll solve all the money problems that we're having at the Psychonauts HQ. I'll start gambling. So she gets a gambling addiction, and then I need to go into her head and help her stop gambling, because that's bad, okay? The first mission that I started off was equally clever. It was very Inception-esque. We were sort of like infiltrating someone's brain to try and trick them to lead us to their boss so we could find out who they're working for. And the way it all unfolded, it was actually quite Christopher Nolan with some of its framing of level design as well. Yeah, it was very clever. So that is the point of this game. It is about going into people's heads and either messing around with them or fixing them in some way. And it uses the brain's anatomy, mental conditions, etc. as the foundation for things like its gameplay, its level design, even its progression. Because it's all about psychics, okay? Psychonauts, they're all this team of psychics. And I guess that brings us to the main character, Raz, or Rasputin is his full name, and he's a young upstart who considers himself to be an elite psychic warrior, and he's always dreamed of working for the Psychonauts, doing the work that they do, and he's found himself now at Psychonauts HQ, which is a big deal for him, and he feels like he's going to go straight to the top, but he gets slapped with an intern sticker at the start. He is officially an intern, and his first duty is to go and sort the mail, and then the adventure begins to unfold from there. Raz is funny. The supporting cast is funny. You are hanging out alongside other interns who start off the whole thing with a hazing ceremony where they lock me in a closet and they steal my clothes, and I'm dumb enough to hand them over. So Raz, that's really on you, man. You are not much of a psychic if you fall for that sort of shit. But yeah, the whole thing is about getting you to laugh, right? And it's not that kind of like ha-ha funny. If you've played Tim Schafer games before, or any of that sort of stuff, it's not laugh out loud funny most of the time. It's more that kind of like half smirk funny where you're pleased with yourself because you got the joke. You know what I mean? It's that sort of thing. But I really love that. And, you know, as I said, 5 hours I played through it. The entire time I was just so engaged and so glued to it because the writing was just so strong. The characters leapt off the screen. That is the main deliverable with a game like this. The gameplay stuff is less important, I think, than the story they're telling, the characters that are involved in it, and getting you to laugh. And I think that part was really nailing it for me. Having said all of that, I don't want to sell the gameplay side of it short because I also really enjoyed that, and I think it was doing a good job. I think there's 3 components to it in terms of the gameplay side. There's exploration, there's traversal, and then there's combat. On the exploration side, this is great. In particular, there's a section at the beginning of the game where you arrive at the Psychonauts HQ, and you can just go anywhere you like. It's a big facility that's open to you, and it's full of people you can walk up to and start chatting with, and it's full of, you know, hidden collectibles and just Easter egg moments that you can chance upon as you go around.
So, what's good today?
Why do I bother making signs?
And you do have some objectives while you're there, but the great thing is that you don't actually have any objective markers. There's no map markers to point you in which direction to go. So you need to look around and you need to use your map and you need to like explore the space. And that's a theme I found throughout the other levels as well. Like there's no map markers. Nothing is leading you by the nose, and you kind of need to think for yourself about what you should do here. And that really draws from that sort of like adventure game spirit of those old LucasArts games where they don't tell you, hey, click on this thing. You need to find out what to click on. And that same spirit has been translated here to the 3D world as well, which I really liked. On the traversal side, it's simple but effective. Levels are spacious and they're also quite vertical. You are encouraged to jump and double jump, and you can float across platforms, and you can levitate over dangerous floors, and you know there's collectibles littered about, and you can choose to go and, you know, get that collectible over on the left, which is a bit of a detour, or you can choose to ignore it and just keep going forward. It's up to you. Controls are fine. I don't think anyone's going to complain about that, but it's not the focus of the game. Certainly you're not playing this as a platformer. It's really about getting from A to B and just soaking up the level design as you do that. The third part is combat. Again, very simple. You have a punch combo with your B button or whatever, and you punch stuff. You have a dodge button. Later on, there are some upgrades that will make you more effective in combat in different ways. Like when you dodge, you can then do a punch attack straight after it. Those sort of things. You have telekinetic abilities though, which are quite cool. So similar to Control, you can pick up and hurl objects at enemies and fire telekinetic blasts at them and set them on fire and all that sort of stuff. So did I love the combat in this game? Not really. As I said, it just got the job done. Similar to the traversal, actually. I didn't love the process of jumping between places. I didn't love when an enemy spawned. I'm like, yes, more combat time. I'm excited for this now. That wasn't what motivated me to continue playing. I suspect that won't be what motivates most people. Having said that, it was fine. And furthermore, I only played the beginning blocks of the game. So it's possible that with new enemy types and new abilities, it becomes more sophisticated and more engaging. Right now, it's fine. As I said, it's not the reason that I really enjoyed my time with the game. The overall reason was just, I think composition is a weird word to use, or at least a word we don't use very often in video games. but composition was what I really appreciated most about this game, in the sense that I had this cast of characters that were really likable and really funny, and they were going on these escapades into people's brains, and they were trying to fix their brains in some way, like curing this lady's gambling addiction. And the way that manifests is a casino that is actually set in a hospital because she's a doctor, so it combines those two settings. And as I'm going through this, I'm seeing this melding of these two concepts. So at one point, I'm going up to this kind of like spinning wheel thing, and I'm like, what's going on here? And I speak to this couple, and it turns out that they're trying to have a baby. And I think this is kind of like IVF, where these people are spinning the wheel, trying to get lucky to have a child, and the game is rigged essentially because this casino, this hospital casino, is evil and the house always wins. So I need to go and into that wheel and break it, or fix it I should say, so that then they can have a baby, you know what I mean? There's another part where there's slot machines and one of those like pachinko style ball drops, and I need to go and unrig these things so that people can start winning and or realize that gambling is bad and these sorts of things. So another section I played was a cooking show where this person suffers from like crippling anxiety and they don't think they can achieve things on their own, and I'm here to sort of like help him through that. And I literally need to grab eggs out of the audience, and I need to run them up and boil this egg. This egg is alive, by the way, and talking and clapping while I'm putting it in to be boiled. And this onion's like, yeah, I'm an onion, chop me up, man. And so I take this onion up to this thing and I put him on the chopping block and I slice up this onion, and he's really happy about that. He's excited to be part of the process, okay? And then I put him down on the skillet and then he gets eaten by these weird ram things, okay? So this is the shit that happens in a Tim Schafer game, and that's why people love him. And that's what's going on in Psychonauts 2. And that's why I enjoyed this game a lot. As I said, 5 hours deep, had a fantastic time. Definitely plan to finish this when it comes out on August 25th. Two things I will say. I had a group Q&A with Tim Schafer that I participated in, and he was asked a whole bunch of questions. One of the questions he was asked was, what did the involvement of Microsoft do for this project? You know, how did that change things? And he says, basically, Microsoft's money let us put the polish on this game in a way that we really liked, you know? You can see that as well. The game feels very polished already. It's a month or so from launch, but it runs beautifully. It didn't have a single bug, crash, nothing. It was just very solid the whole way through. So that was good to hear, that cash injection was able to help Tim and his team realize their vision. The other thing that he was asked was about Game Pass, and someone asked something like, did your game change in any way in terms of its design because of the fact that it was on Game Pass? Which is an interesting question, because there is talk at the moment about how subscription services might influence game design. I don't have Tim's exact answer in front of me, but he certainly said it didn't affect the game's design, but it was something he was very happy about, because Psychonauts is the kind of game that people would take a chance on. The gaming landscape has changed a lot these days, and so many people would look at a game like Psychonauts and be like, no thanks, you know, that's not what I'm going to spend my money on. Fair enough, everyone spends their money on their own thing, but it's that kind of game, I think, at this point, where people see so many free-to-play options, and they see stuff like Game Pass, and then they look at Psychonauts and they're like, should I pay for that product? A lot of people say no. But because it's on Game Pass, people can try it, and I think this is one of the big benefits of something like that, where indie devs or smaller devs like Double Fine get the chance to put their work in front of so many more people, because this platform allows them to be discovered more easily, you know, and I really love that. And so I guess the point of this video is to say, this game is looking cool. It's a known quantity in the sense that if you've seen any Tim Schafer / Double Fine / LucasArts stuff in the past and you liked it, there's a really good chance you're going to enjoy this. It's not breaking any amazing ground in a gameplay sense, but it continues to deliver really compelling, interesting, funny story, characters, and I think fantastic level design. That we're going to hear more and more about this level design in the future, I suspect, because I really think Tim and his team have done a great job with it. So looking forward to playing this one. As I said, Xbox, PC, 25th of August, out on Game Pass. Check it out. I will have a review up most likely when it is available. Okay, see you then. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down so I know to do better for next time. If you enjoyed yourself, consider subscribing, and if you really enjoyed yourself, maybe consider hitting that notification bell so you never miss a video. You can see my patrons here on the left. They're awesome. They're amazing. If you want to join them, check out my Patreon page. Thank you again. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.